A full-voice AI stock now fits well under half a megabyte of RAM, and that tells you a lot about where computing is heading. Welcome to the Automated Daily, Hacker Is Edition, the podcast created by generative AI. It's July 19th, 2026. I'm Trent Teller. Today, we've got compact on-device speech AI, fresh pressure on closed AI platforms, Blender's new long-term release, a useful Raspberry Pi failure story, and a reminder that in hardware startups, software can still be the hardest part. This episode is brought to you by Prezi. Prezi helps you create stunning AI-powered presentations in minutes. Find the link in the episode notes. Let's start with a pair of open-source AI stories that point in the same direction. Speech features are moving closer to the device. A new project called transcribe.cpp is trying to make local speech-to-text much easier to ship across desktop platforms with broad model support and a big focus on reliability. At the same time, Moonshine Micro shows that a full voice interface stock can run on very small embedded hardware with remarkably low memory use. Why this matters is bigger than either project alone. Local voice tools mean better privacy, lower latency, offline capability, and fewer cloud dependencies. For developers, that can make voice interfaces far more practical in everyday apps and inexpensive devices. In the wider AI market, there's another sign that the competitive landscape is shifting fast. One post argues that the open-source Kimi K3 model is now roughly on par with Claude for routine coding work while costing much less. Even if people debate the exact comparison, the bigger takeaway is clear. Lower cost models are catching up, and that puts real pressure on premium proprietary offerings. That story lines up with another one tracking how often OpenAI has had to reset ChatGPT work and Codex usage limits. The tracker makes visible something users already suspect. Demand is huge, capacity is tight, and even major AI platforms are still balancing growth against reliability. Put together, these stories show an AI market where quality is spreading outward while infrastructure strain remains very real. Next up, Blender 5.2 LTS has arrived. This is a long-term support release, which means the headline is less about one flashy feature and more about a large bundle of improvements that working artists can count on for a while. The update touches geometry nodes, rendering, compositing, video editing, grease pencil, animation, modeling, and asset workflows, with support extending through July 2028. In plain terms, Blender keeps getting more capable without losing sight of daily production work. For studios and individual creators, that combination of stability, better performance, and workflow polish is exactly what makes an LTS release valuable. There's also a practical self-hosting lesson from a Raspberry Pi home server that went offline after a microSD card failure, likely made worse by a power outage. The recovery story is the interesting part. Instead of just replacing the card and moving on, the owner redesigned the setup to reduce wear on the boot media, improve storage resilience, simplify permissions, and strengthen backups and power protection. The big message here is that small home servers don't usually fail because they're underpowered. They fail because one overlooked component becomes a single point of failure. It's a useful reminder that reliability often comes from careful, low-drama system design. And finally, a nice reality check from the world of hardware startups. The founder of Jamcorder, a MIDI piano recorder, says that after shipping about 2,500 units, the biggest surprise was that hardware was not the hard part. Software was. Because the device was kept intentionally simple, the manufacturing, sourcing, and assembly side stayed fairly manageable, while software consumed more time and effort than expected. That's an important distinction. Hardware gets its intimidating reputation for good reasons, but this story argues that complexity, scale pressure, and thin margins are what really make it painful. For anyone building physical products, it's a sharp reminder that disciplined simplicity can remove a lot of risk. Thanks to our sponsor, SurveyMonkey. Don't just know what happened, know why. SurveyMonkey can help you unlock insights by combining feedback with operational data to get vital context. Find the link in the episode notes. That's it for today's Hacker News Edition. Links to all stories can be found in the episode notes. Thanks for listening to the Automated Daily, and I'll be back with more tomorrow.